Hi folks, Matt here from House of BBQ Experts. You just bought your first Master Touch. You're all excited, you've got all the reasons to be, so today we're teaching you how to get the most out of it. So before you start cooking with it and start doing anything at all with it, there's a very important step that you guys need to understand and do before anything else. It's called seasoning your barbecue. What that means is you need to put on a lot of charcoal in it, light it as hot as you can, let it run just so it burns out all of the oil from the manufacturer. And also what you want to do is you want to put something that's really fat on your grates, so that way it's gonna bubble up and just oil everything inside of it. So that oiling process is called the seasoning, and it makes sure that your grates are not going to be rusting anytime soon, and it keeps your barbecue as good as new for as long as possible. So now into the thick of things. First thing you're going to be focusing on is lighting up your barbecue. So know that there are some options if you want to start your kettle. So obviously you have the Max Lighter. What that is, it's basically a heat gun. So single push of a button, stick it right in the charcoal. There's some superheated air that's coming out of the end right over here. And after maybe 30 seconds, you'll see sparks flying all over the place. Just keep blowing on it until you have a decent flame. Another key tool that even if you have the Max Lighter, I do strongly recommend on having in your tool set is the good old chimney. So there's nothing as reliable and as versatile as a chimney. Principle, super easy to understand. You toss in a whole bunch of charcoal, load it up all the way to the top, toss a ball of newspaper or whatever you have that's flammable underneath, light it up, wait for about 10 minutes until your charcoal are red hot and flaming, and just toss it in the Master Touch. Now, you need to understand that depending on what you're going to cook, you will have to adjust how you're going to be lighting up your charcoal. So let's see how that works. So if you plan on doing fast and hot cooks, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting a whole lot of charcoal in the bottom, light it up, and it's as simple as that. However, please understand that in most cases, you will not want to cook that way. It works wonderfully for steaks, but you'll need to start playing with what we call the different zones. So if you plan on doing chicken or anything that will require a longer time at a slower temperature, what I recommend is working with the char baskets. So with your Master Touch, you have these little baskets that allow you to contain and control your charcoal and create separate zones. So you're gonna put one on each side of your barbecue, so that way in the middle there's nothing, there's no flame directly under your food. So that way what that does is that it's gonna force the air to circulate inside the kettle, and it's gonna cook a lot more evenly than you would have with a cook that's cooked directly. So that means with the food right on top of the charcoal. That means that if you plan on using these, what I recommend you is to use the Max Lighter, because it's gonna be a lot easier to just point and shoot, we call it that way, and start a little flame on in the middle and do the same thing in the other char basket, and it's gonna spread out slowly and progressively. If you use the chimney, obviously you do not have the same control, and it's gonna spread out in your barbecue. So the chimney is gonna be a lot more efficient if you plan on just lighting a whole lot of charcoal, but if you plan on doing low and slow, as with any pulled pork or brisket or long cooks, I would recommend using the Max Lighter. One of the problems we see with beginners is that they're not going to be paying attention to the quality of the airflow inside the Master Touch. So as you use it, you need to understand that you're burning out charcoal. That charcoal becomes ash and it seeps to the bottom of the barbecue. So the way this kind of barbecue works is real simple. So basically you got the air intake that's in the bottom, the air goes up through the barbecue and goes out through the vent. That means that you need to pay attention to the residue in the bottom of your barbecue. So you got a couple of handles over here. That specific one, the top one, is going to be allowing you to clean up the end of your barbecue, as well as opening or closing the intake. So maximizing or reducing the oxygen inside your barbecue. It might get clogged up after a while. So try to have a routine, maybe once a month, depending on how much you're using it, but try to really empty it out, clean it out to make sure that it's never blocked or clogged out from the residue of your previous cooks. What's great about the Master Touch is that it comes already with advanced options. So inbuilt upgrades, if we can call it that way. So obviously you're gonna have your grill extender and also the stainless steel gourmet grill. That said, what's great about the kettles is that there are a lot of additional upgrades that are really interesting. There's a couple of upgrades that I will simply say I'll recommend to you because it's gonna really improve the experience you're having and the pleasure you're having with your Master Touch. So obviously, first and foremost, safety first, always. So invest in a decent set of gloves. I see a lot of people starting up with just oven mitts. You're playing with live fire. So there's a big difference in playing with just a warm baking sheets and charcoal that's lit white hot. So those are a must have. If you're like me, if you like steaks, this is a pure joy to work with. So obviously you can sear a pretty decent steak on charcoal because it's super hot. That being said, there's a reason they call it the sear grade. So that's an upgrade that's gonna work in any gourmet grill. The cast iron is gonna hold up a lot of temperature, so it maximizes the crust that you're gonna build over your steaks. It makes a big difference. So that is, I would say, my top 5 upgrades that I do cherish the most on the Master Touch. If you like rotisserie, if you like chicken, this is gonna save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration. So it's somewhat easy to dry out a chicken, but that's gonna help a lot. So basically you just sit your chicken on top of this support and it's gonna help you build up that crispy skin you're looking for. It also catches the fat that's coming out of your chicken, so it adds flavor to the vegetables that you can add in the bottom. So definitely something to consider. Last but not least, another tool that I like and cherish a lot is called the Artiflame. The Artiflame is a solid steel ring that you're gonna be using as a grate that's gonna be allowing you to sear scallops, cook shrimps, and seafoods on top of it. So if you're a big surf and turf fanatic, that's gonna be definitely something you'll wanna invest on the midterm and long term to take your barbecue expertise to the next level. So that just proves my point. There's a lot to play with your Master Touch in techniques, but also in upgrades and tools. So start playing with it, own your barbecue, own your craft, and happy barbecuing.